This is Bad Movies We Love, part of the Shice Podcast Network.
If you're listening to this, you are the resistance.
Hello, Bad Movie Lovers. We're turning back the clock here at Bad Movies We Love with a Friday night special. As always, I am your host, Nick Scheist.
The master of this stupid stuff!
I think I'm finally starting to feel a little bit better, a little bit less nasally myself. You're going to hear it in this recording because I did record while I was sick, but I've been busy since then. The Shice Podcast Network is officially fully integrated now, and I spent a little time plotting out the course on social so you can just find Shice Podnet in one place, and all of the shows that are in network are going to be there. I've also been adding to the banked catalog of members-only content. For $5 a month, you can get access to Bad Movie Futures, Baimon Sci-Fi Con, Rom-Comathon, plus you'll get access to the Bad Movies We Love Discord chat, and you're going to be automatically entered into all future giveaways that we do on the show. Plus, I might just send you a nice little care package of custom stickers once you sign up. You can sign up real easy at badmovieswelove.captivate.fm/support. You can even just do one-time donations like some people have done in the past. If you want to participate in the Resistance in a different way, you can do so by taking the listener survey, which is just clickable in the show notes, completely anonymous, so you can tell me whatever you want, or you can call the Bad Movies We Love hotline like somebody did for an upcoming episode. That number is 1-805-285-3885. I might even answer if it rings while I'm sitting at the computer. And speaking of sitting at the computer, that's what I'm doing right now as I record this intro for a very, very fun episode, as I was joined by my good friend Newman from the Movies for Days podcast. You've heard him here before for Swamp Thing and for Idle Hands, Masters of the Universe, and he joined me for the very first Bad Movie Futures where we talked about Joker 2, Folie à Deux. And speaking of French things, today on the show we're talking the Lou Garou. In this case, that's Lowell Dean's sequel to WolfCop from 2014. We're talking about another WolfCop from 2017.
I don't know, Nick. I want to snort some moon rock.
What the fuck is WolfCop?
A couple professionals like you and me brought it full circle back to the wolf dong.
Yeah, his dick was in that Santa hat.
Here comes Lou Garou coming in to fuck this guy's face up. Oh, god damn, that's 2 minutes for decapitating.
Apparently minor league hockey is a big deal in this town.
Hey, they only had this much money and this is where they spent it. And I say, fuck yeah, you spent it in the right place.
It's not trying to do the other things that other werewolf movies did, aside from having a werewolf in it.
Mutilated all of these weird cyborg shifter lizard people.
He howls, snorts, and fucks.
In 2025, we want our heroes to fuck.
You know, what's the worst that could happen?
Slam a damn cold cock.
Music's over, Jack. It's Organo. What? Your name's fucking Organo? You play the organ? That's super fucking weird. Why the fuck aren't you wearing pants? I recognize you. I'm the one who probed you. It's time to die, you strange animal.
All right. It's time to slam a cold cock. We're talking.
Yeah. My way of saying hi.
Yes, I'm joined once again by Newman from Movies for Days. Friend of the show is back. We're talking about another sequel movie. How you doing, brother?
Gitch. Take off your gitch, Nick. Take off the gitch for science. This is for science, Nick. Hey, man. Thank you for having me back. I love that we're finding yet another reason to get me on to a part 2 of a genre picture that involves a character that appears in comic books. Yes, WolfCop was not a comic book character first, but he's in the comics now. Right. So we have kept it alive. I'm a little sad that you already did Tank Girl, but maybe I'll have you on my show to talk about that, and that'll be the excuse.
Well, if there was a Tank Girl 2, then you and I would definitely be doing that.
I'm calling Lori Petty tonight. Do not ask me how I got her number. And I'm going to send an email to Naomi Watts. I don't know if that email's still current, but hey, a guy can shoot his shot, because I think we're long overdue for the legacy sequel of Tank Girl 2.
That's right. We need to see more Rippers. We're going to get the sequel with the Ripper Dong this time in honor of WolfCop, which is very focused on
WolfCop.
Dong.
Yeah, man. You see, look at that. A couple professionals like you and me brought it full circle back to the Wolf Dong.
That's right. You know, when you run a podcast, you got to learn how to be good at segues. And most of the time, I'm not too great at them. But every now and then, they line up beautifully. And, you know, we're talking about a sequel. And this is also kind of a sequel because you were just on our friend's Cinema Shit Show.
That's
talking
right.
about the original WolfCop.
Yeah, with Nix and Obi Ben Shinobi. And we had a great talk over on Cinema Shit Show about the first WolfCop. Everybody should go find their show, find that episode. It is such a delightful time. I am ridiculously enthusiastic about both of these movies. And so it was delightful to kind of get to jump from one ship to another and to have you like saying, hey, you want to come and do part 2? Fuck it. Come on. Let's do it.
Yeah, I was just like, you know, I'm looking for creatures that are bitey creatures for this month. And I was like, you like werewolves? I'm sure you've got a werewolf movie you can bring to the show. Just so happens that you got to do the other one, the original one, over at our friend's show. And now we're here to talk about WolfCop 2, or another WolfCop from 2017, which was written and directed once again by Lowell Dean, starring Leo Fafard, Yannick Bisson, and Amy Matysio. I hope that's pronounced correctly. But the tale of the tape, we've got a IMDb score of 5.3, Letterboxd of a 2.9, Rotten Tomato critic score of 65, though. I was a little surprised by that one. Audience
65,
scores,
okay.
Yeah, a little higher than I would have anticipated from Rotten Tomatoes, but good to see. Audience score at Rotten Tomatoes of 61 and a just watch of 41%, which gives us a Bad Movies We Love total score of 55.6. So perfect kind of movie for this show, honestly. And I know I paused listening to the episode of Cinema Shit Show on the original WolfCop because I felt that I needed to go back and actually finish watching the original WolfCop. The first time I put it on, I was like, hey, this is a werewolf cop. I'm going to love this. And something just wasn't jiving. I couldn't make it through the first time. And I was like, maybe it's just the time of night or I wasn't into it. So I was like, I feel like I owe it my due diligence to go back and to watch it all the way through. So I did. And I watched that like last week in preparation to start the second one. That way I have like a sort of full spectrum picture of WolfCop in order to jump in to this conversation. But where does WolfCop, I guess, as a franchise idea fall into your general like werewolf movie fandom?
So in that episode with Nix and Ben, I referenced a top 10 werewolf movie list and said that I had it in my computer. I really thought I made this thing. I've got a file, right? I got a file on this guy with rankings of different franchises, Jason, Freddy, Chucky. I got a list, right? Mm-hmm. And I have thought many times about how much I love werewolf movies. I like them.
Yeah.
I just, when a werewolf movie really cooks, I get excited about it more than any vampire movie. even though I will fully concede that there are more great vampire movies than there are great werewolf movies. It's frankly easier to make a good vampire movie, and there's a lot of them. And that's part of why I love a really great werewolf movie. So the first WolfCop easily fits into the top 10 because there is always enough room in my horror heart for a horror comedy. That's not... I'm not the guy who needs his potatoes and his meat to stay completely on opposite sides of the plate. I'm a Reese's peanut butter cup kind of dude. And I love horror, but man, I love some horror comedy. And it's a little more impressive to me when a horror comedy works really well, because in my opinion, that's a very tight balance you need to strike, because the very best of the best, you go back to like 1985 with The Reanimator and with Return of the Living Dead. These are movies that are genuinely horrific in a lot of their imagery, and their gore makeup's very fascinating. It's impressive. It's gooey. It's detailed, and the laughs almost seem audacious, like you're not allowed. You shouldn't be allowed, and it's almost like the movie is daring you to come along, and you are in turn daring the movie to go higher without breaking the connection to the established reality. And the first WolfCop, in my opinion, is nearly perfect in what it's trying to do, and certainly utilizing what budget it has, because when you watch that first WolfCop, you really see great makeup, really solid costume design and production design. The way it is shot looks fantastic, all things considered. However, there's also a lot of tried and true low budget modern age tricks that get pulled off. The fire effects and explosions don't always look so great. You can tell when they've used CG to put a sign on a building where that sign clearly was not there. But in my opinion, it doesn't detract from the film. What it really does is it tells me, hey, they only had this much money and this is where they spent it. And I say, fuck yeah, you spent it in the right place. So a lot of this dialogue is so specific to this fictional Canadian town, Woodhaven. For a guy like me who loves the Trailer Park Boys, this was perfect. Just the sort of local color of the two shock jock DJs that kind of bring us into the world, and the existence of liquor donuts and how pervasive it is. And then in another WolfCop, we spend more time at liquor donuts and we see just how much merchandise exists at this place. You could go there for everything. It's like the size of a 7-Eleven, and yet they have everything you'd find in a Walmart. And it's and in another WolfCop, the guy has adopted WolfCop as his store mascot. So he plasters the face all over everything. And when Lou Garou asks him about it, hey, is that even fucking legal, bro? He's like, oh, totally. Me and WolfCop split everything 50-50. He's in on this. It's like, no, he's not, you fucking asshole. But it's great. The characters are so fucking shameless. And I'm so glad that you wanted to watch 1 and 2 in such close proximity, because in my opinion, the second one is very much like Back to the Future 2. It just it takes everything from the first and says, okay, let's do it again, but we're kicking it even higher up. And you really appreciate the specific escalation choices if you watch them close to each other. Willie being brought back just because Jonathan Cherry is so charming and does the dialogue so perfectly. They were like, look, we have to bring him back. So fuck it. He'd been abducted by aliens and he was in a crate the whole time, and he got an anal probe, and but it's him now, and he's here and he loves Lou. The friendship between these two guys works for me. Tina as a character works for me in so many ways, because she's such a wonderful game for anything collection of contradictions. And so she's almost a trick on the audience. And I just love the way they expand on that in the second one. Things just get so much sillier and more audacious. And I fucking love it.
Well, I'm glad that I watched the first one too, because like I said, there's times where it happens where sometimes just whatever it is isn't working. I want to be fair to movies. And so I was like, look, I'm going to give it a chance because I want to listen to the episode that you guys did. Not that listening to an episode of Cinema Shit Show ever ruined a movie for me, despite the fact that they talk about the movie like in very great detail. It's not something where I'm like, oh, I can never watch this movie now because they've talked so thoroughly about it. It's like I just kind of have fun laughing with them on that show. And then when it's over, it's like I don't remember every detail of that movie. I don't even remember the movie they're talking about half the time. So I mean, that's a me thing maybe, but maybe I'm the target audience for that kind of format. But getting to do this, I wanted to actually just like have the additional context of jumping into a sequel. Because like when we did Swamp Thing, I had seen the original Swamp Thing, but it had been a long time ago. But I was like, all right, I had at least seen the original version of the Swamp Thing movie. So it's like I had some context. So for this, I wanted to really just be fair to the original movie and to the concept and to tackle it, I guess, from just like a different perspective. And, you know, I think a lot of movies, probably all movies, sort of require you as the viewer to meet them on their level. Like, meet the movie where it's actually trying to play the game rather than being like, oh, this movie isn't doing these things that these other werewolf movies did, so therefore it's not good. It's like, yeah, it's not trying to do the other things that other werewolf movies did, aside from having a werewolf in it for the most part. So going back and watching the original was fun. Watching the sequel was very entertaining as well. And I think I realized what it is for me with the sequel is that the style of humor that's used in the movie for me is not the kind of like bellied laugh humor where I'm like, I find myself laughing all the time, but it's like I'm watching the movie with a smile on my face, if that makes sense. It's like I'm like aware that it's funny and I'm enjoying the humor, but I'm not laughing. So it's like it's just a very interesting kind of humor delivery that I maybe just wasn't like expecting the first time I watched it. So after watching the first one and then going into the second one, like already knowing that that's kind of going to be what it is, I was able to just like let those guardrails down and really just like be where the movie is. And like you said, Jonathan Cherry like coming back is a big piece of it. I think he's the best character in the movie, honestly. So having him be like I guess the tip of the spear when it comes to like how the humor is delivered, funneling it through that character, I think made it work better for me when I sort of expected it to be going mostly through Lou the first time. But Lou as a human is kind of like not super funny or charming or charismatic in any way. So it's like he's not the guy to make it funny, but all the things around him are funny. And then when he's a wolf, he's funny. So like it was just a very interesting balance that I wasn't quite like figuring out the first time. But I think this is a good time to set the table for people who are like, what the fuck is WolfCop? And what are these two talking about? So this one, another WolfCop, is a sequel to the 2014 original film, WolfCop, also directed by Lowell. And the original was the first project to actually successfully navigate the Cinecoop Accelerator. And it quickly found cult status after being released in theaters. And it was so popular that the sequel was greenlit and screened as a work in progress at Fantastic Fest in September of 2016. And then a 3-issue comic book series was also published starting in October of 2016. Filming for the sequel began in early 16 and eventually debuted in full at Fantasia International Film Festival, and then hit limited release in Canada December 1st of 2017. The film garnered mixed reviews and grossed less than $10,000 in its theatrical run. However, it earned $125,000 in home video sales to help recoup some of its $3 million budget. And so despite the lack of, I guess, the financially measurable success, the film promises that WolfCop will return, and Lowell has expressed his desire to continue making WolfCop films into a third and fourth. So I think the blueprint is there to make it happen.
Fuck you, Terrifier. We're coming for your balls. we'll take them, and you won't scream about it, Art the Clown, because you never talk. Haha. But no, I would be front row center for WolfCop 3. I don't care how many years it's been. I trust this team to just do it and to factor in the time spent and to come up with all sorts of more wackiness. I mean, shoot, they end the second one on a cliffhanger. Like, what happens to the bad guy? He's just gone, and they go to the bar, which is the perfect way to end a WolfCop movie. Like, it's like you said, you just got a smile on your face the whole time, because if you loved the first one, this one feels as if all your buddies who, are the characters of WolfCop made this movie. And so you get to just go on that adventure with them. And as they go along, you're like, oh my God, they're doing this now, you goofy motherfuckers. I love that it's like a sneaky Christmas movie. It starts out with that great opening action sequence, which is legit a very well done action sequence involving a truck and a wolf cop and a bunch of, Santa's workshop themed dressed burglars. It's some Batman shit, it's some RoboCop shit, but it's so silly. It's silly as a big hairy wolf dong, and it's just throwing it in your face the whole movie. And it's delightful that Tina is in this position of, I am the only sane person in this circus, but this is my circus, and I love this circus, and I'm secretly a little crazy too. And it kind of just gets even more of a yes and situation with her as this thing rolls along. And it's just delightful. It just puts a smile on my face. Her rookie deputies are just perfect. The one dude is fucking Barney Fife to a T. I love that one moment where he's saying, well, I used to have my notepad in my gun holster because then because I had lost my gun, but then I lost the notepad. You know how that goes. And she just looks at him like, what the fuck are you talking about? And those moments are played, at least for me, so perfectly. Like the delivery and the editing is always so good for those kind of head tilt moments where someone has said something just so character specific and also so incredibly stupid.
There was moments in watching the second one, and maybe it's just because I watched it really close to the first one, where I was like, maybe I like the second one better, but I'm not 100% sure, because there's things in the second one that I definitely enjoy more, and then there's some things that I also enjoy a little bit less than stuff from the first one. But I had to stop for a second. I was like, did I miss something? And so I was like, okay, no, I rewound it. I didn't miss that. Now, so afterwards, let me look this up and see if I made a mistake. And I'm reading through the synopsis. I'm like, no, okay. The movie just did the thing that way, and I didn't miss anything. So I'm not confused. I was just surprised that the movie chose to do that. What happened to the bad guy at the end, right? I'm like, did he just leave? Oh, yeah, he just left. Oh, okay, well, we'll deal with that in the sequel.
Exactly. We got to leave a little cliffhanger. What's his name? Sidney Swallows or whatever.
Sidney Swallows.
He's a fantastic villain for today.
He actually is, yeah.
Such just an absolute prick. And in the beginning of the movie, when he's shooting his little commercial for chicken milk, slam a cold cock. He has this moment where he slaps the can off the little tray that the model is holding. And when he does it, they use one of those whip sound effects. It's like, and I had this moment where I went, fuck yes, I know exactly what this movie is going to do. Like, I already had an idea because I had seen the first WolfCop several times, but the difference between the two, I'm trying to come up with a really good horror analog, because the first Reanimator is also incredibly silly. So you could maybe say Reanimator to Bride of Reanimator, because Bride of Reanimator gets much looser with giving a fuck about plot and gets so much heavier with, gags and bits and silliness and amazing makeup and gore effects that they just wanted to do. You could say the same about Hellraiser to Hellraiser 2. And I feel to an extent you could even say the same about Terminator to Terminator 2.
Yeah.
And there's something really great about the sequel to this being such its own animal in terms of tone, because comparatively, the first one takes itself much more seriously. And so you almost get to decide what kind of vibe you want to have with WolfCop, or make it a WolfCop night, because neither one of these movies are that fucking long.
Yeah, this movie, surprisingly, I was like, I looked down, I'm like, is it going to end before an hour? And so it just gets over the finish line, and then the movie just like ends in the middle of the story. So there's that too, where like, hey, we got to leave a little meat on the bone for later.
Well, it's great. They have their little walk off into the sunset moment where it's like, rookie's got to pay for the beers. What? Why do I got to pay? Because you got kidnapped. Total rookie move. Don't worry. I'll take you under my wing. Ah, gee, just what we need. Ba-da-ba-ba-da. Jeff Franklin Productions. Like, it's just exactly, and it's so great because we've just mutilated all of these weird cyborg shifter lizard people. Half the town has had alien xenomorph baby things come flying out of their stomachs, so they're all fucking dead. The whole place exploded in, just hail of gunfire. We have that great little back and forth at the end, and when I say great, I mean cheesy as fuck, where what do we have? Oh, the humanity. Oh, the paperwork.
Yeah.
It reminded me of the end of the first one where Lou's like, can we please go get it? Or no, I need a drink. And Tina says, I need a hospital. And he goes, okay, 2 stops. And it's great, but it's even cornier, like the second one has this audacity of silliness, the audacity to include a were-cat. Now the sex scene, because we had our wolf sex scene in the first one, so we've got to do it again. But how are we going to top ourselves this time? Got to do it again, baby. It's WolfCop. You're going to do this wrong? You're going to do it right. Give the people what they want. And what we wanted was Lou to stay human this time, but to get his brains effed out by a were-cat. And of course it's his best friend's sister, because that's how these stories work. And I mean, I don't know, Nick. I want to snort some moon rock.
I mean,
just once,
I kind of
just
want to
once.
also. Just a little bump. What's the worst that could happen?
How do
Seems
I
like
know?
everybody had a good time.
Right? And maybe it'll make me really good at hockey. I would love to be able to do that.
Yeah, surprise hockey movie here, too. I mean, I don't remember hockey being mentioned at all in the first film, yet apparently minor league hockey is a big deal in this town.
Well, because they had to build the new stadium, and it hadn't happened yet. I mean, they were looking forward to the annual drink and shoot.
That's right.
even more Canadian than getting drunk and shooting firearms, recklessly, is ice hockey. So it's, to me, so perfect that that's where the big finale happens, is on the ice in a hockey rink. You've even got Willie on the mic being like, oh shit, there comes Lou Garou coming in to fuck this guy's face up. Oh, god damn, that's 2 minutes for decapitating. I fucking love Jonathan Cherry, dude. He's so good in this, it hurts.
Yeah, he is excellent. And it's like, as I was preparing for this too, I try not to like watch the trailers for the stuff that I haven't seen until it's time to actually go back and look at the trailer, which we're going to do in a second. But with this, I sort of was grabbing clips to put together a little like highlight package for the stuff that's going to be on deck this month. And so as I watched the trailer, I was just focused on like how much of sort of the identity of the movie was in his hands, just in the trailer alone. And I was like, okay, interesting. So then when I went back and watched the first one, it gave me better like context for who his character is in relation to Lou and what the story needs to be. So I think sort of maybe the benefit of looking backwards helped me in this case. But for those of us who are going to be looking forward, that's not a good segue, but I know I asked you about a synopsis haiku, so I'm curious. Do you got one? You want to howl at the moon with 17 syllables here?
I would. Let me answer in the affirmative. Oh, woo. All right, sir. Now, I typed this one up. Usually, I'm able, while washing dishes, to just compose this and have it in my head because I'm so proud of it. But today, I was working through a bit of a block, and so I actually wrote this one down.
Sweet.
A snort of moon rock, so WolfCop can howl once more. Slam a damn cold cock.
That's really good. Yeah, it's much better than mine. I wrote mine sort of as I was preparing my notes, getting ready for lunch, and I was like, yeah, how do I do this? Because I have both movies sort of in my head, but I'll give it a shot. He howls, snorts, and fucks. Plays hockey, and he fights crime. Werewolf with a badge. So, yeah, a little bit more loosely connected to just the idea of WolfCop in general, but specifically that he snorts moon rocks and plays hockey.
And fucks. I mean, come on, let's be honest.
Well, he fucks in both
2025. In 2025, we want our heroes to fuck.
Yeah.
I feel real strong about this in this moment. I'll probably defend it later as well, but right snap now, I tell you.
Yeah. Well, so I had seen sort of the little, like, not the snippet, but the little like teaser note that Nick's had put on the episode that you guys did when he released it, and I was like, werewolf dick. I'm like, uh-oh. And then when I saw it actually happen in the first movie, I was like, oh my God. And so I was kind of like expecting that same werewolf dong, but this was just like more of a hairy, long prosthetic. It wasn't quite as wide as the other werewolf penis that destroyed his former penis in the transformation process.
That's true. That's true. This one has grown into itself, and it's just hanging proud, hanging so low it's out of frame. You don't see where it ends. That's how big it is.
Yeah, as he's sitting on the chair and she walks up to him that first time as he's drinking and just watching TV, you see that he's got like a Santa hat in his lap, I believe. And I was like, does he have his dick in that thing? And he stands up and yeah, his dick was in that Santa hat.
Because yes, this is a Christmas movie. WolfCop, the best stocking stuffer.
It should have been a stocking, not a Santa hat. But I mean, look, it's all right. I mean, this can
Monday morning quarterback, they say.
Yeah, this can go on the list of Christmas movies perfectly. All right, well, let's go back and take a look at that trailer, and we will see exactly what this movie was advertised as. Fortunately, I've seen this already, so I've got a little bit more context than I usually do. Let's wait. Wrong button.
This trailer rewind is brought to you by Wolfsbane Condoms, for the horny werebeast in your life. We've all seen werewolf transformations on the screen for years, decades even, and they always look at least moderately to severely painful. So if you get bitten by a lichen, you have a good idea of what's going to happen to your body. However, one thing you don't hear about often when it comes to werewolf transformations is what it does to your genitals. Not only does it significantly increase your endowment, it makes you hornier than ever. And if you want to have responsible were sex without bringing another little monster into the world, you need a contraceptive that's reinforced for size and durability. That's why Wolfsbane Condoms is happy to step in as the go-to name in safe werewolf sex. You see, Wolfsbane Condoms are made from state-of-the-art polyisoprene synthetic rubber, and the lubricant is made from silver nitrate and aconite. So you're protected even in the off chance that the condom breaks or there's a manufacturing error. That pesky werewolf sperm may be resilient, but it's not surviving that. So when you, or the werewolf in your life, want to howl at the moon and have some bestial sex, you can do it responsibly thanks to Wolfsbane Condoms. And now, back to the show.
Okay, here we go.
What the hell is that sound?
WolfCop.
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 Yeah, this a new cop. in the streets.
I love this music.
Yeah.
All of the music.
Don't bother trying to hide, cause there's nowhere you can run from the WolfCop.
You promised me you would stay locked up. Where's your card?
Don't try to hide from the WolfCop.
I want its hairy head on my mantle.
Oh, damn.
This is great. Like, this knows exactly what it is. It's selling me on watching this again tonight, just watching this now.
Yeah, I was excited for it.
We don't need any unnecessary attention.
Woodhaven PD is all about discretion.
Yeah, you've got everything under control.
Also, something delightfully Canadian about having Kevin Smith in, in an unnecessary cameo in your movie, which is a weird thing to say because he's not Canadian.
He's not, but he is a hockey fan.
Well, and he's doing this, I'm still waiting for his Moose Jaws movie that he's been promising for years. He's been doing this Great White North thing for a hot minute now. I think he's just got like a fascination about it, or maybe because he, growing up in Jersey, it wasn't very far. It's far enough away that it seems exotic, but it's not New York, so he doesn't have to be afraid. I don't know. I'm projecting. That's terrible. I
mean, hey, filming in Canada is a lot more affordable too, so that might have something to do with it, as many productions of TV shows have gone to Vancouver and been like, yeah, this is Anywheresville, USA.
So here's a question. Did you watch the trailer before you watched the movie?
I did, which I usually don't when it's movies I haven't seen. So in watching the trailer, I was like, I'm actually like kind of excited to watch the second one, which is why I was like, all right, well, now I will go back and watch the first one because I got to go through all the way.
It's worth it to see how WolfCop became WolfCop. Shit, here we go again. I'm a fan of the Lethal Weapon series, all four of them, honestly. I think those are some really well done, just crisp buddy cop action movies. Those are just fucking well done. Leave it to Richard Donner. My man made Superman, and he reminded me that I'm too old for this shit. But it's kind of similar when you look at the first Lethal Weapon compared to the second one. The second one takes this great established dynamic, and the opening action sequence is just them in the car and Riggs fucking punching the roof because he's so excited to be on the chase. He's like, come on, man. Come on, get after him. And like, you just get dropped into that. And we move from that energy through the movie. And I kind of think it's a similar vibe here. There's a lot of table setting, you might say, that you don't even realize WolfCop is doing until you get to another WolfCop and you see that, now that this is all normal to you, let's get super fucking weird. Yeah. We got lizard shifters. We got weird penis monsters coming out of people's stomachs. And like he has a whole fight with it in the bathroom because he thinks it's a big old turd. And like, that's usually not my brand of humor, but again, it just speaks to the magic of this actor because I'm laughing at things that I'm embarrassed I'm laughing at.
Yeah, as he looks in the mirror and he's like, you will not lose to a shit. And I said, like, we've all been there and lost that battle at some point in our lives.
Right? I was about to say, who among us? I mean, come on, be honest with yourselves.
Oh, yeah, he's so good in this movie. Even when like we're sort of learning the backstory of him becoming or like getting abducted by aliens, he says like, oh man, they penetrated me with gusto. And it sort of like hesitates and he's like flashing back into the memory. And then in the memory, he's saying like, ooh, that kind of feels good. So he's going like through all this stuff and he's kind of like our narrator in a way because he's like observing what's happening to Lou. And then Lou doesn't talk a lot either, like when he's WolfCop or when he's Lou. He doesn't do a ton of talking. So somebody had to be the narrator. And I'm glad that it's Jonathan.
I also am always down with a new character being thrown into the mix as long as it's not obvious or excessive, having one of our main characters having to update them about stuff that happened in the previous movie that's important to know right now, right? Like there's a right and a wrong way to do that. And I think this movie does it really well. And it's such a great, kind of spin. And it makes total sense. And I feel like if you care about such things, you'd see it coming a mile away. But it's so great to be like, no, not just one wolf, but two. And no, she's not even technically a wolf. She's a were-cat. Fuck you. You think we can't do it? We're going to do it. And she's going to fuck his brains out. Watch. We're going to make Team America World Police ashamed of itself. Watch. I mean, this is the guy that loves Bride of Chucky unabashedly. I mean, of course this was my jam.
Well, I'm glad that it's yours. For somebody whose it is not, why do you think somebody would say that this is a bad movie?
Why would someone think this is a bad movie? Perhaps if the unreality of the world is so offensive to their sensibilities that they feel it is too stupid to be funny or insulting to their intelligence in some way. I guess I can imagine someone being turned off by it, but I feel like it's short enough. It moves really well. I feel like the only negative thing somebody could really come up with is, oh, this just isn't for me, or this isn't my thing. Because one thing it's not is up its own ass. It doesn't pretend to be anything other than this silly, goofy, wacky exercise. It's having a good time, and it hopes that you will too. So I've talked myself into a circle. Fuck those people who don't like this movie. But yeah, no, like, I don't know, maybe like I think of the moment when Chief Tina punches out this dude that's like 1.5 times her size, and she does it with one punch. Now, I love her character, and it needs to happen for the progression of the plot, so I don't give a shit. But I've heard people who talk about movies online complain about stuff like that. So maybe if you're one of those people who gets bent out of shape about dumb shit like that, the unreality of a woman punching out a guy bigger than her in a movie about a wolf cop.
Yeah,
if that bothers you.
In this movie, that's probably not the hair you want to split. But yeah, I can
and there's so many hairs, and they're all on a big wolf dong. Couldn't help myself.
Yeah, so I think it's important to recognize, yes, the kind of movie that you're watching and the level of seriousness that it applies to itself. And if you're expecting more seriousness than the movie is willing to engage in, then that's sort of like a viewership engagement issue more so than a movie issue. For me, I would say the biggest thing for me is it sort of has the visual quality of like a straight to Cinemax softcore porno a little bit, which I could see if you're trying to like, hey, this is a serious movie and I want to like actually like take this seriously, then I don't want my movie to look like Skinamax kind of thing. But at the end of the day, like the actual practical effects that are used are pretty good throughout most of it, and especially they put their investment into the transformation scene, which is like the biggest thing you want to invest in terms of the werewolf movie, is you want to have a great transformation, which this movie and the other one actually really does. Probably one of the best practical werewolf transformations in any werewolf transformation film that exists. And so it's kind of weird that a movie that can be as dumb as this movie and have fun being that dumb can also do something that maybe none of the other werewolf movies in existence have been able to do in such sort of emphatic and graphic fashion. So yeah, I still think maybe the people that didn't like it are just like, it's dumb and I don't want it to be dumb kind of thing. But if you're okay with it being dumb, it's great. It's another WolfCop. So, yeah, if you like the first one, you'll probably like the second one.
And I love the title, too, because the idea of, oh, another one? It's like, yeah. Is it WolfCop? No, it's another WolfCop. It's like we aren't gonna church it up and say part 2. We don't even regard it that much. It's just another WolfCop. I don't give a fuck when you watch this one. We're gonna make a And like, it would be so funny if part 3 did come out and it was just called "And Another WolfCop Again."
Yeah,
that would crack my shit so hard. Like, I don't. And the thing is that a movie like this, you feel like, yeah, they might do that. They might do that just to say we don't fucking care.
Yeah, because the people that want to watch WolfCop are already going to be, like you said, you're going to be front row center. It doesn't matter what the title is. As long as you know that it's WolfCop, you'll be there. So I think for like the core audience that this movie is really intended for, that kind of stuff doesn't matter. Now, whether or not that stuff translates to larger audiences is either here or there. But the fact that, like, when we were reading the sort of the tale of the tape and the critic score on Rotten Tomatoes was a 65, that was a little surprising because, you know, we're going to go to Critics Corner later and we're going to see some of the shitty things that people had to say. And the Just Watch score, like, so audience scores are actually slightly lower for this movie than the critic average, which is almost never the case on this show. It's almost always the opposite. So one of the more fascinating things about this movie is that critics seem to understand the assignment maybe a little bit more than audiences did, at least on like a macro scale.
Sequels can also be tough. Audiences who care to comment or care to write a review are usually people that were fans of the first one, so they went into the second one with some expectations.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I think that might be fueling some of the bad reviews from audiences for this one, whereas I think maybe, and like you were saying, this is not usually the norm, but it would seem that the critics, or at least the critics that, you know, are being collected, like you said, had a better understanding of the assignment, were a little more welcoming of what the movie has to offer, because it's not pretending to be anything other than what it is. I'd go ahead and say that, if I'm being on, to give a better answer to who would say this is a bad movie, there's a whole swath of people out there who would find this movie wildly offensive on many different, you know, people who don't want to see blood and guts and gore, people who don't want murder of any kind trivialized, people who don't want to see drug use joked about, people who don't want to see any kind of graphic sexuality of any kind, people who don't want any kind of graphic language. I mean, all of those fucking folks, but
much more serious people than us.
Yeah, right. Look, I'd say they're serious and not a very helpful way, but hey, that's their own cross to bear.
Overly
we all
serious.
got one. Yeah. A little too serious. They're super serial. Don't be so serious. I'm super serial. Those folks aren't going to be watching WolfCop, and they certainly aren't going to be watching another WolfCop. So I don't know. Part of me, I was of two minds. I was like, well, you don't have to mention that when you talk about people who aren't going to like this movie. And then there was this voice in my head going, yeah, but no, neither of you have. It feels like an elephant in the room, and the wolf has already attacked the elephant, and you just talk about this, Jeff.
Well, every now and then I'll come across a movie where I pull the Metacritic reviews, and one of them is like the Christian Science Monitor. And unfortunately, this movie did not have enough Metascore to actually have the Christian Science Monitor as a cited source, but I would love to read the review from like a devout sort of like religious perspective. Because every now and then they surprise me too, where I'm like, oh, they didn't hate this movie quite as much as I thought they would, even though it's about the devil, you know, so weird stuff like that sneaks in there all the time.
If you're out there, we know you're listening. We are absolutely talking to you. We're not going to single you out by name, but we are talking to you. Contact Nick and you let him know what you thought of this fucking movie. Pardon my language. Let him know what you thought about this by gosh movie. It is only an hour and 17 minutes long. I mean, come on. That's like Mass and The Drive Home.
Yeah, exactly. Do it. Do it at badmovieswelove at theshice.com. You can send your hate mail there. I'll read it. Why not? I've read it before. Okay, well, let's jump into some trivia then.
Time for trivia.
You already got the first one. A little bit. But let me see if I can reword the question to make it I don't know that I can. Let's see. Okay, so how do you know how Kevin Smith got involved in doing this cameo?
I'm just going to say I don't, which is frustrating because I'm almost positive I remember reading about this very early this morning after watching the movie before I went to work.
Well, you probably did, but it was a little bit of a surprise cameo because he just happened to be in Saskatchewan scouting possible locations for Moose Jaws, which you mentioned earlier, and just kismet. And you know what? I feel like performance-wise, there's maybe some of the most enjoyable stuff I've seen from Kevin Smith. Granted, I mean, I've seen him play Silent Bob, he's Jay. No, he's Silent Bob. I've seen him play Silent Bob like 3 times at least. And then he's cameoed as that character in other movies too. So, like, granted, he doesn't do a lot of speaking in any of those movies. None. But like, I liked this character for him, and I'm glad that he did this.
This felt a little to me like when Tarantino pops himself into his own movies, or those rare occasions when he pops up in somebody else's movie. If you like Kevin Smith, you're going to enjoy very much seeing him in this movie. If you find him annoying, you are going to hate every second he's on screen in this movie. And like, and that's why I feel it's kind of similar to the Tarantino effect. Now, I enjoy Kevin Smith a lot, so I was having fun. And every time he came back, I was like, Jesus Christ, how many days did they have him? This is so cool. and then the fucking thing pops out of his gut. So for me, it was a total surprise. I hadn't seen a trailer, so I had no idea Kevin Smith was in this. And so the first time I saw it, it was like, what? He's the mayor? Of course he is. Of course he's the fucking mayor. And he's just drinking in the middle of the day and wearing that stupid hat. And it's just Kevin Smith. He's got the hockey jersey and it's just Kevin Smith. It was so silly to me. And then it was even more wacky that he came back and then he chugged a whole thing and they revealed their evil James Bond plot and fucking, shifter penis bug pops out of his stomach, the whole 9 yards. I was like, good God, what a sport, because that had to take more than that had to take the better part of a week.
Yeah. So just happened to be in the right place at the right time. And it's Kevin Smith, but they just changed the hat.
And they had him talk.
But because you named Moose Jaws by name earlier, I'm going to give you the point. So you get the extra spin of the wheel. And we'll move on to question 2. So the main character's name of this story is Lou Garou. It comes from the French word or phrase meaning what?
Werewolf.
It does, right? Look at that. A little headier than all of you haters would have expected from a movie called WolfCop.
And they don't lose points just because they were Canadian and they used French. If anything, they get more points because it's like, culturally representative of their own peoples in multiple ways, bro.
And in French Canadian folklore, the Lou Garou is often a dog and can also take the form of a calf or a small ox, a pig, a cat, or even an owl.
There you go. You see, this wasn't just a wacky, silly, out-of-the-box choice. This comes from literature and folklore, dudes. I don't know why I'm getting so confrontational on people.
And there's nobody here but me.
Yeah, right. It's just us. We both like the movie.
But what I like to see is that they already did the cat. So that means we might actually see like a pig, a were-owl. There might be like a whole were community up here in Woodhaven at some point in future WolfCop movies. So like, I wouldn't be surprised at this point to see like a whole super team of were creatures. That'd be pretty cool, actually. So,
yeah, I mean, if we've got another Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey movie coming and a Bambi horror movie coming, why the fuck shouldn't we get another WolfCop movie where we find that there's a were pig and a were ox and a were sloppy Joe? Yeah. It's gonna eat you. Watch out.
Let's do it. Before we sort of get too far from that, though, the creature design, the monster maker, Emerson Ziffel, for this movie, like, I think one of the interesting things about werewolf films is sort of all of the different incarnations of stylistic design choices of the creature. Like, do you go a more hound-like route, and do you do the snouty face? Do you make it more man-like, like we see here with Lou, where he's like still wearing clothes and stuff, or like we saw with the early like Lon Chaney's Wolfman? Do you go that style? Do you go sort of almost like full just giant wolf like we saw in Twilight? And before we recorded this episode, actually, I did an entire recording on Van Helsing that's in the can. And Steven Sommers, who directed Van Helsing, had said that, like, in watching all the other werewolf movies up until that time, basically, there was a lot of focus on how the transformations happened, and he wanted to change that. And so he made it this thing of like this flesh tearing as the wolf comes out of the human. Like, it's this thing that's already there, and like the beast is just sort of like ripping through the casing of man. And so that was all done with digital effects in post. And so to see sort of that same idea, but like have it applied in a way that is done practically, and then having watched Van Helsing before WolfCop 2, and then sort of like connecting the dots and having that whole conversation about the design choices that went into Van Helsing, and then coming back to watch WolfCop 2, I was like, this shit is amazing. It's almost like embryonic in a way that he's like ripping through this sort of sack. It's very like birthing and very grotesque and very graphic. I mean, he just like douses himself in beer at the end of it too in this one. But like in the first one, it's also very graphic, a little bit more surprising and terrifying, and that he doesn't know what's happening. Where in this one, it's like you get the flesh effects, and he's like the tearing of the flesh. There's a great edit where he's himself, and he's sitting in the chair, and you see the actor, and then he sort of like reaches over to his back, and then the edit cuts so that when he's pulling over, he's like pulling the man suit off, and the werewolf is underneath, and there's just like KY jelly underneath, and it's very gooey looking, but it's fantastic. And so, yeah, we talk about how this movie can be silly and dumb and sort of irreverent and do all of these things that are super unserious, but it takes this one element of a werewolf story so much more seriously than so many other ones do, that are like, oh, we'll just, we'll show him writhing on the ground, we'll change it in post, So it goes back to sort of the maybe the golden age of werewolf movies, where you're really focusing on these hard light transitions and using smart editing and using really good practical effects to actually like make this complete, versus sort of the trend that we saw in the aughts that took it into like digital transformations to do bigger, more dog-like werewolves.
Yeah, because you can throw the whole Underworld series in with that. I
love Underworld.
It's a time. Those are,
it is.
For me, those are
we
real
like leather
time.
And vampires and dark clouds all the time.
And everything is awash in blue light. Don't ask questions.
That's
Blue
right.
light, we are pale.
Yes, it's the moon.
I'm going to rip this man's suit off because there's a beast within, Nick. A beast within. And that's what I love about that. That's the whole thing about a werewolf. Who is the real you? Is the man, the civilized, well-behaved human being who is sensible and calm and, judges their actions and emotions well? Is that the real you that you try to perfect? Or is the real you this beast within that is caged up and it wants to be let out? And that's part of what this is that the real you ripping its way out of that man suit that you've put around yourself to pretend you're something you're not, and how good it feels to just relinquish yourself to that side. And I mentioned this in the episode with Nix and Ben. I cannot remember where I first saw or read about this, but there is some bit of werewolf lore, some, incarnation of this story where this is the details of the transformation, but also the wolf, having just come out, will eat all of that skin. It's like the first meal it has after transformation, because it wakes up hungry and it's going to go out and attack and feed, but right away it's got to eat. And what does it eat? It eats that man suit, that fake man suit you had on yourself. It gobbles it up, because by morning a new one will grow. But like, that's just so visceral and like and existentially terrifying to me, especially as a man who at a time when I was younger really had to wrestle with my anger issues and just, make more conscious and responsible choices and, find a new way of looking at, finding a new way and a healthier way to exercise my perspective and, all the things that you need to do when you grow up. But I was looking at my dad and the ways in which his anger, made him the kind of person people didn't want to be around, and also drove him into a complete nervous breakdown at one point in his life, to where, he was quite scaring us with the possibility of suicide. Not that he was threatening it, but the way he was behaving and the slow pace of his recovery after his nervous breakdown had folks in the family really worried. And so, there were regular calls and check-ins. And so, I looked at a lot of what was going on with him when I was in college. I was looking at what was happening with him as a real cautionary tale. And I think that's also part of why I connect to werewolf stories so much. Because, I love body horror and I love creature features. And this is a wonderful blend of the two. But also that fear of the untethered beast within. I think I have a real fear of that, like within myself, in the ways that I think a lot of us, our fear usually comes from something within ourselves. We might externalize it, but it's usually, I think, something, about ourselves, either history or just true to how we look at the world. And so I think that's a big part of what freaks me out about werewolf movies. And so to see that philosophical, artistic, existential idea executed in this specific way, oh my goodness, perfection.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. It's probably one of the reasons why I am more drawn to werewolf movies myself than vampire movies, is that this idea that, like, at the end of the day, like, man is still an animal, and there's a lot of that animal nature that sort of just gets suppressed in the interest of civilization, basically. And reconciling the relationship between man and animal is something that is always going to be complicated. And not just man, but like humankind. Like, we're still an animal creature living on this planet. And I think we maybe tend to sort of forget about that a lot. And so movies and stories that examine that, I find to be just interesting for that reason alone. And, we get the benefit of like sort of monsterdom. But I think the show Hemlock Grove on Netflix showed the kind of transformation you're talking about. I'm pretty sure it happened in at least one episode where it's like he transforms and then eats his carcass. So check that out. I might be wrong. Someone will correct me. Write me hate mail again. That's badmovieswelove@theshice.com. You could tell me Hemlock Grove is not the show that features that. But just the other day, as I was listening to some old Johnny Cash stuff, because I had seen Complete Unknown, and then I was like, you know what? Like, I watched Complete Unknown. I was like, let me listen to Johnny Cash, because I love Johnny Cash. But on one of his American recordings, he records a version of Nick Lowe's The Beast in Me. And like the first line of that song is, "The beast in me is caged by frail and fragile bars." So Johnny has always been, even before he was doing the covers for the American recording series, he's always a guy whose lyrics sort of grappled with his place in the universe and his faith and his sort of struggle to like not be alive, but to like be a good person, I think. And there's a whole book I have. It's called the Burning Ring of Truth, the philosophy of Johnny Cash. And it's this entire book about like the philosophy of his music. And so just interesting that song was popping up like in the time that I was watching WolfCop and then watching Van Helsing and recording and getting to here. It's all been within like 2 weeks. And I do love that song and I've heard it many times, but just the timing weird to hear that and then to have those lyrics like resonate. It's very, very weird timing, but sometimes the universe just lines up like that.
I know exactly what you mean. You know, there was this time I did an episode on a podcast about WolfCop, and then very soon after, the beauty of a joke like that is that you know how much reefer I smoke, so it's entirely possible that wasn't a joke.
This one time a week ago, I did a podcast. But yeah, I like that, you know, things sort of, and maybe that put me in a better place to go back and watch the original WolfCop and just like meet this movie like on its level. But at the end of the day, it does some werewolf specific things that I like a lot. And then it does some sort of kitschy, low budget comedy things that I like a lot. And I didn't know that I could navigate those two things simultaneously. And I think I've come around to the idea that, like, yes, they can coexist and this can be a space to have fun and do both things. You can have some really disgusting gore effects and you can have fun doing it. So this is a movie that succeeds at that. But before I get derailed too far, we've got one more question in the trivia section. I want to make sure you get a chance so that way we can spin the wheel as many times as possible.
Yeah.
Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, minor league hockey plays something of a surprise role in this film. And we get 3 hockey cheerleaders wearing taped, horn-rimmed glasses as a reference to what 1977 film?
Slapshot.
That's right.
Yes.
That's
Sorry,
right.
I got very excited there because I would have been so disappointed in myself if I was wrong. Paul Newman, baby. Back in the days when the only person on the ice who had to wear a helmet was the goalie. And Jesus Christ, that was a time. Seriously, y'all, look it up.
It's so crazy that if you don't believe me, helmets were not mandatory in the NHL till about 1994. So there was a guy.
The game got ruined on that day. That's when I stopped watching.
I believe it was Al McGinnis was the last player in the early 90s to still not wear a helmet. And I watched him play. So it's like I grew up watching a guy play hockey without a helmet on. And even goalies didn't wear helmets at the beginning of hockey, which is insane. Like, I'm just going to stop it with my face. Yeah. So like hockey is an absolutely wild sport. I think it's actually probably an interesting sport for a werewolf to take on when you look at something like a Teen Wolf, right? Where he gets to wear his little short shorts. He gets to have his hair like sort of flowing in the wind. It's not like a grimy kind of sport where I feel like werewolves probably would play like rugby or hockey given the opportunity. Like they'd be good at it. So I like that the hockey is incorporated because I'm a hockey fan, and finding hockey movies is sort of always like a diamond in the rough. Like there's a couple here and there, but for the most part, not too many movies take on hockey. So glad you got that one, because now we get to go to the big wheel and we get to spin it and see what fun questions you got, because I added some questions even since the last time you were here. So we may get one that you haven't gotten before.
Hell yeah.
Okay, this is one of the new ones. It's a little bit simpler of a question, but what is your favorite thing about this movie?
The relationship between all our 4 main characters. Lou and Willie, but then also Kat and Tina. By the end of it, they're sort of like the head responsible people in this weird ass family that kind of, includes all the townspeople, but especially the deputy. And so, yeah, that's the thing about this movie. It's like you said before, how the werewolf effects and the transformation, that's the one thing they took very seriously. But I also think they clearly took their casting seriously, because the chemistry between these characters is all so great. And the ease with which they make this dialogue work, especially Willie, is also great as well. And I think that there's attention paid to sort of the direction of both the way the characters have to interact and also just the beat and pace of both of these movies. There's a musical kind of a, all right, fuck yeah, we're moving on. It's like, wait, what just happened? Don't worry about it. We're going. Wait, check this out. And I think it's all done really well.
Awesome. All right. Well, let's see. Question 2 from the wheel. You get, what movie snack would you pair with this movie?
Reese's miniatures.
The mini cups?
Yeah.
Okay. That's a good choice. They always hit the spot.
Hang on. Changing my answer.
Oh.
Changing my answer. Chocolate covered pretzels with mini M&Ms melted on top. My wife makes these and they're amazing.
I mean, that sounds amazing. A little bit sweet, a little bit salty. There's kind of like a man inside the monster on those, so you get a little double meaning with those snacks. Cool, I'll take it. All right. This one is a little weird, but if you could insert a surprise musical number into this film, what scene would you put that musical number in? I think for you being a musical theater guy.
All right. I tell you what it would have to be. Do you remember the scene at the bar where it's Willie and Lou and Willie's sister Kat?
Yes.
And they're kind of getting a little bit chummy, and we see her fucking just kick the stool out from some guy who clearly said something awful to her. And, you know, she's handling her shit, walking over with the shots, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in that scene, there needs to be kind of a like a country banjo heavy sort of song, because there would be a band playing for folks to dance. And depending on how you want to do it, either Lou and Kat dance and it gets very, romantic and sentimental, and they get really swept up in it. And we spend a lot of time focusing on the great singer in this band. Or Lou wants to impress her, so he goes up on stage, and for reasons the movie doesn't need to explain, he gets on the mic. And if the guy can play guitar, he gets guitar too. And he leads the song. And that really makes her swoon. And that kind of takes them into this happy, laughy, lighthearted energy that will take them into the sex scene in the next scene of the movie.
I like that. I think, I didn't picture an answer to this question when I asked you, but now that I'm thinking about it, I want to use that same scene. And this is going to be sort of just so imagine that same scene, but like everything else is slowing down in the background. And you have Willie's little belly buddy talking to him about how Lou wants to fuck his sister. And it just sort of slows down. Everything goes blurry. And he sings directly to Willie about how Lou is going to fuck his sister. I like that.
So now we have, Nick, we have to write the WolfCop musical.
Oh, shit.
Because both of these ideas are too perfect to ignore. It doesn't have to get made. We should just write it and then send it to, what's the name of this guy?
Lowell. Yeah. We can just be like, hey, we're fans of the movie. We wrote a musical version. Hope you like it.
Yeah, and if it's okay, we might do a reading of this one day, and we'll send you an invite.
We might produce it in a small local theater if you're okay with that, sir.
Exactly. Can we just have your permission? Tiny theater, no one has to know.
Cool. All right, that was the third one, right? I think we did 3, or was that?
Yeah.
Well, let's just spin it one more time for fun because I lost count.
I'm into it.
You get a bonus one. Oop. Okay, this is going to be a little challenging, but if you could swap out one actor from this film, who would you choose to swap out and why?
Oh, that is tough. I mean, I've spent so much time praising the cast, and
I
really do love this cast.
Backed you into a corner with that one.
You bastard. Okay, I tell you what though, I'll get you. I get you. The it can be anybody I want, alive or dead.
Sure.
Okay.
No rules here.
Okay. Got it. The 2 shock jocks who they have more time in the first one, but they're still present in the second one, kind of bringing us into important updates about Woodhaven, right?
Yeah.
Replace them with the 3 leads of Trailer Park Boys.
Ah, interesting little crossover there. I like that.
We already got Kevin Smith in here. Why the fuck not? You know, and it'll be like, fucking Woodhaven. We got the fucking hockey rink coming up. Oh, you're goddamn right. I'm gonna go to that fucking hockey rink. I'm gonna be cheering the whole time. Like, okay, Bubs, calm down, man. Like, that would kill me. It would be so great. And they're kind of Canadian celebrities, like, kind of dirtbag celebrities, which I say with affection.
Cool. All right. It's a good choice. All right. Well, that was a fun little spin of the wheel there. Is there anything else that you want to talk about specifically from the movie that we didn't get a chance to talk about yet before we move on to all the horrible things that got said? I do have a question for you that I'll squeeze in there if you don't have an answer.
I was going to say, I don't think I feel like we really hit on I feel like we really hit on like everything that's so great about this movie. Other movies have tried to do similar things. Like, I wanted to double check, when was The Last Stand starring Arnold Schwarzenegger made? Because there's a similarity between his character in that and the Johnny Knoxville character that is so similar to Lou Garou and Willie in the first one that I'm over here like, wait, which came first? And then also the rich asshole who is, secretly evil, running the town and playing himself off as like a rich self-help guru, kind of, clearly what do you call that? High value manosphere kind of dude, right? They do that in that movie It's a Wonderful Knife. And I really didn't like that movie very much. I wanted to, but man, it kind of just and I feel like this movie is doing that idea so much better. Not the whole idea, but that one thing about the evil, the evil rich guy who claims like he's saving the town. So yeah, it's funny to me the ways in which so much of what's in here kind of pervades and finds its way into other stuff.
Well, to answer your question, the Last Stand was the year before the original WolfCop in 2013. So you may not be too far
WolfCop
off.
Stole this from Arnold Schwarzenegger. No, wait. Arnold Schwarzenegger found the script to WolfCop before they were even able to start shooting. No, it's obviously what happens so often. Ideas are in the ether, and sometimes
they happen when they're supposed to happen.
Fuck yeah, man.
All right, well, I'm going to follow up with one question for you before we go to Critics Corner, and that question is, do you have a favorite WolfCop product that is sold at Liquor Donuts?
I gotta say the Gitch. How can I say anything else? Have you seen it? It's packed with a toke. So you get a toke and a Gitch.
Yeah.
All in one.
I think my favorite was the Wolf Copperfield bras. I was just like, wow, they actually took the time to design like a surprising amount of fake products for this. And as someone who does fake products on my show all the time, I have a special appreciation for that.
And very well, I might add.
Oh, well, thank you. Okay, well, I think the only other two things that I would point to is that I found it hilarious that WolfCop destroys his car and then chooses to ride a tandem snowmobile down the street, which is not covered in snow, but he just shows up on that and does it in style, very confidently.
Sparks are flying. He doesn't give a fuck. It's great. And, she's like Commissioner Gordon, who, at a point in the career where he doesn't want anybody to know about Batman or their affiliation. And it's just like, you never saw this. All right, come on, let's get in there. It's fucking great. And I don't know that this is an intentional reference. I don't know if this is just, coincidence. But in the Canadian horror film Black Christmas from 1974, there's a whole sequence in the middle where they are all doing a big search through the park at night for a missing girl. And almost all the townspeople and cops are on foot and they've got dogs, but there's one dude on a fucking snowmobile who's kind of out on the edge. and fucking John Saxon has to get on his bullhorn. He's like, hey, don't have that thing any faster than 15 miles an hour. You'll be no use to us, okay? Keep the speed down. And I'm over here going, is there a connection? Or is this just some Canadian shit? Like, yeah, no, of course someone has one of those on your block. So it's funny that WolfCop would come up in one of those. Just some Canadian shit, man.
Yeah, I think it's maybe that, but I loved it, and
I loved it.
I did. What can I say? It's like he shows up on a snowmobile. I'm like, yeah, and I mean, it's funny that you reference Batman because he has a Wolfmobile, and then the Wolfmobile gets destroyed, and he shows up on like the Bat Cycle.
I said this a bunch of times.
With his Robin in tow with him, like
when I did the first one on Cinema Shit Show, this came up a lot. How it's got a lot in common with Batman, Darkman, RoboCop. There's a lot of similarities, and that's not a criticism. That's because it fucking works.
Yeah,
you know, they're still doing their own thing.
Cool. Well, let's head over to Critics Corner now, and we get to hear. We've said too many good things, and now we got to hear some of the bad things. So we go to Critics Corner, where we hear all the horrible things that critics had to say here. And this, like I said, it wasn't one where I could pull from Metacritic very easily. So I did what I could, and I went on Rotten Tomatoes, and I gathered a handful of different ones that sort of cover the spectrum, but it wasn't exactly a smooth curve. So we start at the bottom, like we always do. And we start with Bruce DeMera from the Toronto Star. So a Canadian who gave this 1.5 out of 4 says there isn't one single moment in the film that is meant to be taken seriously. If that's your idea of cinematic fun, howl along. But he hated it. Didn't hate it, but gave it a 1.5. So.
Oh, I thought you were going to like it continued, but no, I hated it. Our home and native land indeed. Is this how you fucking represent your great Maple Leaf people? The boys down at Hortons are not going to fucking get you a double-double tomorrow, asshole. You're going to have to buy it yourself. Here, toss him a loony, somebody. All right, I'm out of Canadian things. Fuck this guy.
So, I mean, look, at least he acknowledged that, like, it is what it is, and if you like it, you'll like it, but didn't give a lot of context as to what he didn't like. So we'll move on to John Semley from the Globe and Mail, which I think is also a Toronto outlet. So another Canadian says, it may well be brain dead, dumb, and intermittently a bit funny, but sometimes we need a bit more. Meh.
A bit more. It's 1 hour and 17 minutes. It's the perfect length for a movie like this. It's playing with so many things, and all of not just the practical makeup and gore effects, but also the prop design, like all their little evil lab gadgets are so charming. There's like this kind of, old school 80s big buttons with colors, lights underneath them kind of vibe
it's
to it.
Scary when there's multiple colors.
It's silly. It's silly, goofy haunted house design fun. That's all this movie's trying to be.
Well, interesting that those two gave it the same score and on the same scale, but had sort of different takes on it. So we'll move over to Chris Knight from National Post. I don't know what the hell that is. Maybe Canadian as well, but he gave it 3 out of 5. He says another WolfCop is a good enough successor, if not the equal of the first.
Wow.
Lightning seldom strikes twice, although a wolf might.
Oh, yeah, I'm down.
Yeah, that's pretty solid. I mean, I think he sort of looks at it probably the same way that I do, where, like you said, there's a lot of sort of table setting that you don't know is for maybe a larger series of WolfCop movies happening in the first WolfCop. But by the time you arrive at 2, you should understand the assignment. And then if you were still on board with 1 by the time you got to 2, then 2 does all of the things that 1 does, and sort of it ups the antes in ways that 1 didn't. We've talked about a lot of those different things, and it sort of just like is the right progression for a second WolfCop movie. It doesn't need to be like, oh, we're going to go 2.5 hours long and we're going to be very serious. It's like, I think being brisk and sort of having some intentional holes in the story of what happens actually make sense for the world that this takes place in?
Oh, yeah. Well, because it leaves them open to make some things up along the way and add to the lore as they form their own. Moon rocks? Fucking moon rocks and werecats? Like, you could have said that the WolfCop 2, moon rocks and werecats.
Yeah.
Like, what? But yeah, because they can. And because it's because they can. And it's fun. I mean, not as you were talking about the ways in which this can just start off running, it made me think of Temple of Doom. What a wonderful sequel that is. You get right off and running with that. And already it starts with a fun subversion because we have expectations of Indiana Jones, and it's not to see him in a white tuxedo and to have a Chinese version of Anything Goes to be sung by Kate Capshaw. You're like going, what? But then it becomes this awesome action sequence, and you've already got a relationship to Indy, and we've already got a relationship to WolfCop and Woodcraven. Woodcrest. What is this damn town? Woodhaven.
Yeah.
Woodhaven, pardon me.
Now, all you need to do is throw some Nazis into the background and then WolfCop fighting Nazis, and we're almost there.
That could be the thing for part 3. Excuse me. And another WolfCop again.
Yeah, exactly.
This time, Nazis.
Okay, let's see. So we're climbing the ladder. We've arrived at, I guess, what are good reviews. And this is Trace Thurman from Bloody Disgusting. Says there's nothing classy about the film. In fact, it revels in its depravity. But would you have it any other way? No, we would not, Trace. Thank you for understanding the assignment. I'm glad that you were able to vibe with this movie. And yeah, 4 out of 5. Look at that.
Trace gets it.
Yeah.
Trace fucking gets it.
And so I couldn't find anything higher than a 4 out of 5, so we're just going to go to a different scale that has it as an 8 out of 10. And this is Andrew Pollard from Starburst, and I don't know if that's the candy or a publication of some kind, but I kind of hope it's the candy. So he says, what it lacks in budget, it more than makes up for in its unflinching commitment to its crazy concept. It's completely outrageous gore, its undoubted charm, and yes, its plentiful dick and fart level gags.
Dedication to the concept.
Yes,
that's
absolutely
something I keep coming back to, because something can be dumb and be awful because of it.
Yeah.
But you care about the concept, and so you put the effort into the details, and you stay consistent with that level of dedication in those details that matter. And then you can freewheel a lot of the rest of it. Like, this movie fucking gets it. It knows how to be good, dumb fun.
Yeah, and I think if it was the kind of story that were to balk at the notion of staying consistent, like that voice whispering that, like, no, you have to do things a certain way because this is how horror movies are done, or this is how werewolf movies are done, and like that voice that's telling you that there's like years and years of filmmaking that have done it a certain way, and you have to do it that certain way. If you let that voice creep in, then you really puncture the membrane of what the movie is, and then none of the other stuff works because the tonal imbalance is off. So staying committed to what the movie wants to do is probably the most important thing.
Because we have to have a new spinach for Popeye with the moon rock.
Yeah.
They don't get to utilize liquor as his spinach quite as well as they do in the first one, but I think the first one does that so well, and it's just a delightfully silly trope to rope into it. He's a werewolf. Well, no, he's also a cop. Hang on, he's a werewolf and a cop. Yeah, but he also needs liquor, like lots of liquor.
he's
a liquored up wolf cop. Cue the music.
This is true. I think that concept is like well done in the first one, but I can't act like I didn't enjoy seeing a werewolf snort a line of powdered moon rock off of a scythe
Yeah, which is also like, it got sharpened because, hey, we're sharpening skates here at the hockey rink. Yeah, no, if I have to choose between them, I know which one I'm choosing. Fucking Moonrock, man. Come on. And it gives us an excuse to not need the full moon, which is great because in werewolf stories where we've got a hero who's the wolf, unless we are going to be really specific about this whole thing and it's going to all happen inside of like 3 days, you need to find an excuse or a reason why they can wolf out, either at will or with the use of a substance of some kind. And I appreciate that this movie's like, yeah, we have an answer. It's our own answer. None of you fuckers have ever thought of this before.
Yeah. Yep. Powdered moon rock. Take that, bitches.
Dude, it'll you snort enough of that, you'll feel like a real lunatic.
Oh, look at that. That's a good one. It's gonna go over people's heads the first time. But listen back.
They'll need a telescope to see it.
All right, well, let's go to more or less. And this is something that I took off the wheel because I wanted it to be its own thing. So give me something that you want more of in the movie and something that you want less of in the movie.
I have to admit, I want less Kevin Smith.
Okay.
I could have done with just a little less. And I'm not sure if I want whole scenes cut or if I just want all of his scenes trimmed up. But I guess I don't need to answer that. As much as I hate to admit it, I'd like a little less of him. And I think I'd like more scenes with Lou and Tina and more scenes with Lou and Willie. Like, maybe like barely 10 minutes more of footage, but just a little extra scene work of them kind of reflecting on things that have happened, maybe plans about things that they want to do. I really, and I don't think this necessarily would make it a better movie for anybody except me. Yeah. But just very selfishly, I really like these characters and I like these actors. And some of the interactions that got a little more personal in the first one are parts of what I really love. And we lose a little of that in part 2 because dynamics are already so well established and because we've got kind of a lot of plot to get through in a very short amount of time. And we do care a lot about the spectacle. And I don't want to lose any of that spectacle, but I do admittedly miss a bit of the character stuff that we got more of in part 1. So yeah, I do a little more character stuff with those 3 characters. I do a little less Kevin Smith.
Yeah, I had to think about this because usually I don't answer this question, but this time I was like, I actually have answers for this. And what I definitely wanted more of was Frank.
Sure.
You build a freaking robot Frankenstein, and he's pretty cool looking for like what this universe entails.
Agreed.
And I think me, again, selfishly, because one of the first movies I ever saw was Wolfman versus Frankenstein. So I'm like, oh, we're going to have a Wolfman versus Frankenstein movie in this universe. And so we get Frank, and he looks like he's going to be the primary problem for WolfCop, and he beats his ass in the strip club. And then they light him on fire, and it was just like, no, okay, his character is done now. And I was like, but wait a second, he was a robot, right? Like, how do you beat a robot with fire? And then the movie just moves on. And I said, no, Frank, he's not coming back.
So here's a pitch, because they did seemingly defeat Frankenstein's monster with fire in the old classic ones, but then he come back. So what if at the end, after they all go to the bar, we have a little moment where we go back to the wreckage of Club Fuck. I love it. We need backup down at Club Fuck. We go to the wreckage and Frank busts out of the wreckage and he's all smoky and charred and he goes, hard cut to credits.
Yeah. Love it. And then I think the only thing I would want less of is maybe let's shorten the hockey goons sequence. I get it's like we want to see WolfCop kill a bunch of people, but I was like, there's more people on this hockey team than there probably should be. I was like, wait a second, he killed all of them, and then another 5 came out. I was like, okay, like I get it, but like we could shorten that up a little bit, and I still get the picture. But other than that, like that's pretty much it.
Telling you.
All right.
Words nearly flawless get thrown around a lot these days.
Well, all right. The good news is that I always have it written down as time permitting, we'll do word association. And it looks like we're creeping at around almost an hour and a half, which means time is permitting. So it's
all right.
Word association.
Word association.
So
this is way more fun than the ink blots you tried to have me do that last time when you were workshopping this.
Yeah, I know, right? It's not so good for an audio based show.
I'm glad you listened to me
visual
on
reference,
that.
right?
It was a really uncomfortable conversation.
Well, that's why I test things out on you. Give me
you
instant feedback.
And the candor. I mean, let's be real.
Yes,
Sorry,
exactly. Okay, so clear your mind. I'm going to give you 5 words, and these are mostly 2-word phrases here. They all are. So I'm going to give you these. You're going to give me the first thing that pops into your head. So free your mind. Here we go. Werecat.
Dog.
Lizard clone.
Reptile, but specifically from Mortal Kombat.
Yeah. Chicken milk.
Gold cock.
Moon rocks.
Snort.
And Sydney swallows.
Oh, Sydney. Lazy eye. What's her actual last name? I swear to God, I would have known her name yesterday. Sydney something. She's an actress. She was in Madam Web. She was on Euphoria. Sydney Sweeney. There it is.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That took way too long. Although I feel like I have a coworker who will actually be happy that I couldn't come up with this gal's name. She's not a fan. And mentioned that at lunch one day, and we were all like, okay.
All right. Be like, look, I tried to name her the other day and I couldn't remember it.
You'd be so proud of me.
Right? Exactly. Well, I mean, so we do a little sort of psychological Rorschach test here with the words. But, that brings us basically to the end. So we're going to close it out with, of course, as we always do, the gateway drug movie of choice for WolfCop. And I think it's fitting because WolfCop is a movie that does definitely get into some drug use. So what is a good movie for somebody who maybe has not seen WolfCop and wants to take a chance on it?
This has nothing to do with wolves.
Fine.
But I'm still going to say Goon.
Okay, yeah. That's
perhaps...
What's his name? Sean William Scott?
Yes.
Yeah. Stifler?
That, in my opinion, is not only one of the best hockey movies ever made, it's one of the best sports movies ever made. It deals with a lot of very kind of, internal, try to find your definition of what is to be a good man and try to do that as best you can with what you've been given. It might be funny just to say you should watch the second one because Another WolfCop is also a part 2. So it's like, yeah, they've got hockey finales, a lot of very bloody violence. The violence in both of those movies really doesn't hold back. So, and then of course it's got a lot of drinking and very crude humor. And the guy who plays Willie is in Goon. He's one of the hockey players.
Nice.
So yeah, for all those reasons, fuck yeah. Watch Goon or the second one, or both, and then watch Another WolfCop.
It's a good choice. And, as I think I'm going to give one that's a good recommendation, sort of like to WolfCop as an idea more so than an individual movie, because I did just watch them sort of back to back. I'm going to go with Psycho Gorman.
Yes!
Because that one is very self-aware of it being a very strange concept, but it is very committed to that concept. And even though there are moments where it's like you kind of want to begin to take it seriously, it also just never fully allows you to do that because it doesn't want to. You get a great performance from the young lady in the lead, who I can never remember her name, but she's a fantastic kid actress. And it's got really sort of like good practical effects, and it's fucking weird. And yeah, I feel like they're sort of just operating like on a similar wavelength.
The design of the Frank bot in another WolfCop felt to me like he could have walked right off the set of Psycho Gorman, part of that evil intergalactic group.
Yeah.
The writer-director of that, Steven Kostanski, is a Canadian filmmaker.
Oh.
He was one of the directors of The Void, which was a much more serious horror film from 2016, but the gore effects in there were legit. And so you've got very similar vibes happening between Psycho Gorman and WolfCop, especially another WolfCop, because they really lean into that splatter comedy. Like, we didn't even mention the mid-credits sequence where the guy who got his face ripped off in part 1 is leaving a hospital. He hasn't been referenced at all since part 1. Nope. And in a mid-credits sequence, he's leaving the hospital and being reassured by the nurse that it's going to be okay.
Your face is fine.
Your face looks fine. It really doesn't.
It does not.
It does not at all. And like, this is a long walk. It's like me telling a joke. He finally gets out to the middle of the street, and boom, WolfCop just plows into him, and his face comes off on the windshield all over again. Oh. And that's how we go out before WolfCop will return. I love it. I just love it.
Yeah, that's something. All right, because I was trying to think. I was like, who is this guy? And then I remember now that it's the guy. It was like in a barn, I think, where he first breaks in. He just rips the entire dude's face off, and Willie's he's sitting shotgun, freaking out that he ripped the dude's face off.
Lands on the windshield, and he goes, ew, oh God. He turns on the windshield wipers, and he goes, oh, I'm just making it worse. It's so good.
Yeah.
There's something to that Canadian horror comedy. There's an energy to it that really appeals to me, because I feel the same way about Hobo with a Shotgun. I love that film, and that is Canuck exploitation through and through.
Something in the water up there in Canada.
They do it right. If you've ever heard of Slacks, SLAXX, it's also a Canadian horror comedy. It takes place in a clothing store, and it's about a pair of jeans. That is
spit all over my keyboard.
It's about a pair of jeans in a fucking clothing store in like a mall that gains sentience and goes on a killing spree, and it is such a delightful
awesome.
film.
What
Dude,
can I say?
Check it out. These Canadian horror comedies, they get me.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to like pair that up with Rubber and watch both of those back to back, and it's gonna be a fun night.
Rubber's the shit. I'm a lover of that film.
Yeah, I mean, sentient, taking an inanimate object, making it sentient, and having it going on a killing spree just seems like a good time. I mean, it could be whatever. It's a pair of pants, it's a pair of shoes, it's a belt, it's a computer keyboard, whatever it needs to be to fit the story, as long as you commit to it.
Dedication to the concept.
Follow the North Star, and you'll be okay. All right, brother. Well, I know Friday is your release day. You just released a new episode. I saw it like at a glance as I was looking to see if I needed to message you, and I checked and I saw the message, but then the post that you had jumped down somewhere later in the feed, so I didn't see what the new episode was. But please tell people about your show and what you're doing.
Well, thank you so much. I run the Movies for Days podcast. We are your non-pretentious, easy access movie chat podcast, where every Friday I and a guest will take a deep dive into any film from any decade with anybody's guess as to how we chose that film that week. I love what I do. I put out a new episode every week, but I just can't stay focused on the same thing, so I've got a zillion and one sub-series. I Am Batman, Tarantino Jamborino, Classic Corner with Mom, where yes, me and my actual mom talk about a classic film. The Rex Brothers, where me and my actual brother talk about a movie that one of us recommended to the other. The newest sub-series,
just started a new one, yeah.
Yes, sir, the Freak Power podcast, which will be covering the films of the films that are inspired by the works of Hunter S. Thompson. We recently did Where the Buffalo Roam, and that'll always be me and Liam and Wayne from the In Film We Trust podcast. So I'm really excited about how that develops over the coming year. But this week, my newest episode is on Muppets Most Wanted. Those who've been listening to my show for a long time know that I am just an unabashed Muppets fan. And so me and my very good friend, Alex Paparato Goodman, get together once in a while to do what isn't technically a sub-series, but it's almost an unofficial sub-series, Muppet Mania, because it's always one of us doing... it's always the two of us together doing a Muppet movie, and we've done every theatrical release at this point. Muppets Most Wanted is my latest episode, and it's the final theatrical release that we've covered. So yes, we're going to have to start covering the straight-to-TV shit and the straight-to-DVD shit. You're welcome.
Look,
so yeah, all that and more.
Somebody's got to do it.
Somebody's got to do it, and someone's going to listen. Someone always does. So check me out on Twitter at MoviesDays. Days is spelled with a Z. You can also find me on the Slasher app at Movies4Days. It's the same damn thing, but stick a number 4 right in the middle. My sound is pretty much everywhere. If you listen to podcasts and you search for me, you'll probably find me. But for the easiest search, you can go to yourunpodcast.com, where all my episodes are very easily searchable, along with all the rest of the great members of the You Run Podcast Network I'm very proud to be a part of.
Well, for anybody listening, I can attest that Newman has a great show. I've been on it at least once, if not twice now. I think twice.
I was going to say definitely Copland.
Maybe a third time.
I'm almost sure there's a second one.
Oh, yeah, we did Desperate Measures.
Yeah, we did.
And then I lent you a voice recording for the Coppola episode that I haven't gotten a chance to listen to yet, but...
Take your time, you know, it's we got all the time in the world with that one, kind of unlike Coppola himself. Oh,
yeah. He's an old man, okay?
Yeah, I know. It's like low-hanging fruit to make a joke like that, but here we are.
Cool. Well, thank you so much, brother. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. If you are listening to this, I would definitely recommend checking out also the Cinema Shit Show episode where Newman was a guest to talk about the first WolfCop movie. And you can do what I did and sort of just do it all at one time. And then you're fully in the WolfCop world now.
Get some pizza, some beer, get your gitch, get your toke, and you'll be set. It's a great way to spend an evening because neither of these movies are really that long. And that's another thing that's great about most horror comedies. They don't waste your time. And that's another thing I really enjoy about the subgenre.
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the biggest sort of benefits of those movies is that some horror movies are trying to scare you, and that seems to have like not been the trend as much lately. A lot of horror movies are maybe like trying to outsmart the audience, which these movies are not trying to do either. It's like we're trying to have fun, we're trying to be gory, and we're getting out of here, you know? Because we want to go home too.
Yeah, right. Man, thank you so much for having me on. It's always such a joy chatting with you about flicks. And as always, can't wait to have you back on mine. We can talk about it as soon as schedules allow.
That's right, man. We'll do it again soon. We'll have a quick little chuggaroo. Join you next time for the Cunt for Red October. Oh, man. Whew, what a night. All right. Thank you so much, buddy. We'll talk soon.
Take care.
Thanks to Newman for coming back on the show, having fun talking about WolfCop. It's always nice to have Newman hang out, get weird. It's especially nice because he always brings the energy even when I'm under the weather, and he helps lift me up. So if you had fun with us, make sure you check out his show, Movies for Days. You can find him on X at Movies Days, and I'm going to make sure that I put the links for all his stuff up in the show notes so you can find it real easy. And of course, thank you to everyone who took the time to listen to the episode. I know there's a seemingly infinite number of options when it comes to podcasts, and I appreciate you letting me into your ear holes and hopefully into your hearts. In all seriousness, though, time is valuable, and I am very grateful that you've entrusted me with yours. If you enjoy the show, please consider leaving a review or at least a rating and telling a friend about it. If you don't enjoy it, then maybe let's keep that between us. As I mentioned in the open, the new members-only section is in fact live at badmovieswelove.captivate.fm/support, where you're going to get access to a bunch of goodies for only $5 a month. And I would absolutely love to hear from you, so if you have a bad movie you love and would like to be a guest on the show, you can contact me at badmovieswelove@theshice.com or badmovieswelove spelled LUV on Twitter and Instagram. And until next time, take care, be well, stay safe, and have fun however you get your movies.